shit about boxing.
Hi there, I'm Danny Flexon. With me, as always, is Miss Georgia Banks. And this is the latest episode of You Don't Know Shit About Boxing, a podcast brought to you by the team behind SecondsOut. And we'll get to this week's topic shortly, but first of all, I'd like you to welcome our very special guest.
Your Boxer Series Cruiserweight Tournament Division King Ellis Zorro.
Yeah,
We got no
it's good to hear that.
no big check for you
Oh.
at any point, unfortunately. I mean, we could give you a big check. There wouldn't be much money behind it. Welcome.
Thank you for
Thanks for
having
coming.
me. No
Sorry,
problem.
your
Let me
legs
just readjust.
are-
Yeah.
You're quite long.
Somebody inappropriately touched you, I think.
Sorry.
It's definitely unintentional, I promise. In case there's any legal people watching. Yeah, Boxer tournament champion.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
It feels great. I'm in a very good place. I'm on top of the world. I'm still soaking it in somewhat, waiting for the contract to come through from the sky. So yeah, it's all good.
How does that all work?
I
Sorry, Danny.
I have no idea, to be honest. They contact Martin, and then I guess it just goes from there. If there needs to be a bit of negotiating back and forth.
So when you kind of do you get scouted for it? Do you apply for it?
I think that's what the winner of the tournament gets a contract with Sky.
But how do you get in the tournament?
Oh, right. So again, through my manager, I told him that it was on, and I saw it via Instagram, and I told him to contact whoever he needs to contact, and that was that. Yeah.
Nice and
so there was,
straightforward.
basically, yeah.
Why were you not just confident that you'd win, but that you'd adapt well to the tournament format? What was it that made you think, yeah, this is for me?
I didn't think it was for me. I don't think I'm kind of known to be, like in my gym, I'm known to be a bit of a slow star. I do have some first round and second round knockouts and third round knockouts, but I don't fight at a fast pace like an amateur. But we're all in the same shoes. Everyone in there is a professional fighter that's, I guess, training to develop to be like a 10 round or 12 round fighter. So I felt we was all in the same shoes, yeah. So whatever I have to adapt to, so did they. Yeah.
Have you cashed a check yet?
Yeah, it's all there.
What did they feel like when you brought this massive check into the bank?
No, yeah, that's many more. But like, I'm doing it obviously for the money, but I'm doing it there's going to be more money to come. So yeah.
And I know we talked about this in an interview before, but it was an amazing weekend for the Peacock Gym as a whole.
Yeah, I was.
Can we not rub that in?
Oh yeah, Linus Adofia's #1 fan. Over
Oh,
there.
is it serious? No, he's a good guy, Linus. That was a close.
Yeah. You see how close Georgia is, isn't it? Like,
That was it was a close fight. I actually watched it in the hotel with my friends and my cousins that come to support me in Manchester. Denzel was really confident that he won, but when I was watching it on TV, it felt a lot closer. But then when he got the knockdown, and I think from round 8 onwards, I think the fight just kind of turned a little bit. But they didn't give him the knockdown, did he? But I thought he was going to stop him. But yeah, so obviously he lost the cash, so it was good for him to get that. I don't know when, but a few months before that, Chris obviously lost
Chris
for the
Borg,
British.
yeah.
Yeah, Chris Borg lost to Mark Leach. So yeah, I did feel a little bit of pressure. Thank God Denzel won, so it kind of took a little bit off. And then yeah, I won as well. So
because he was the first.
He
night,
was
yeah.
the Friday, and I was the Saturday. Yeah, so yeah.
Oh, brilliant stuff.
Yeah, man.
Now, you went up to Manchester as a Londoner and upset the odds. Well, not upset the odds, because I think you might have been the tournament favourite, but
I think there was. I think the favourite thing was changing all the time, like depending on like who you listen to. Some people were saying I was the favourite because I had more fights, but then some people, I didn't have much of an amateur career, and some of the other boys in the tournament did. So they're going to be the favourite because they're used to the style of fighting. Apparently, Jamie Smith was actually the favourite.
Wow.
Yeah, Jamie Smith. Yeah.
What do the bookies know, eh?
What do they know? Eh?
Sorry, Jamie. But yeah, so this week's topic, based partly on Ellis's triumph up in Manchester, and probably more so on Devin Haney's mission this weekend on Down Under, is away days and victories for boxers who perhaps don't come from the area where they triumph.
Yeah.
Was that ever an element of it for you? Were there fighters that were a lot closer to Manchester? I'm guessing there were at least a couple of hometown fighters in there.
I couldn't tell you, but I know that like people had more fans than I did. I literally had like a handful of people. I had my dad, 3 of my cousins, and like 4 or 5.
I'm sure your dad counts as a fan.
No, but like people, yeah, it's my dad. But it's people supporting and cheering. Do you know what I mean? But most people did have more fans than I did. But I don't know if any of them were actually from Manchester or not. Yeah.
Does that bother you though when you're not the fan favourite? Are you even aware of the crowd when you're fighting?
Not really, to be honest. like I can obviously hear it, but I don't think it affects my performance in any way. I think I'm quite, level-headed in that sense. I'm not swayed by those kind of things, especially when the bell goes. I just kind of go into autopilot mode, what I've been doing in training for the weeks and the months. So yeah, no, it was all good.
Tell us the backstory, if you like, how you first got into boxing and to where you are now.
I got into boxing.
Abbreviated version.
Okay.
No, take as long as you want.
So
He's only got 90 minutes.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
Sainsbury's don't mess around.
Yeah. No, so I've been doing sport my whole life. I used to play football at quite a high level. I used to play for Millwall. Then I played for Bromley, which is a semi-pro.
You said you played at a higher level. Millwall. Millwall.
No, Millwall Academy. Millwall's good, man.
And Bromley just won a trophy.
I don't know. I don't follow football no more. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
going
think
back.
They won like the FA trophy recently.
did they?
Yeah. It was all
Okay.
over social media.
But no, then I did a bit of track and field when I was in school. Then I went to uni. Long story short, I started at uni in 2000. It was rather 2000. I think my first amateur bout was 2013. I started at a freshers week. Them little freshers.
No drinking then.
No, they were just like one of them little freshers ones. There's like holding pads, and if you want to come and give it a go on the pads, and I did it.
Remember that mad freshers week I had?
No, it's mad it's actually mad that where I am now, and that's how I got into it. But yeah, one thing led to another. I came out of uni in 2014. Had a few more amateur fights, but I was very like in and out of the sport because I felt like I've started at 20, 21 years old. Like what can I do? Like I felt I started really late. But the 9 to 5 thing just wasn't really for me.
What did you do? What were your jobs?
I worked in HR. That was my main job. And the money was good. But at the time, not to say I didn't need the money, but I didn't have my daughter. I was still living at home. I wasn't like paying rent like that. So it was just like, it wasn't enough to kind of keep me in there. And I don't think I was very good at it either, to be honest.
Why are you embarrassed? You're good at boxing, I mean.
No
offense to HR people who might be watching.
I just had no desire to do it, man. Sitting there doing emails and reading through a lot of stuff. So
that's all HR is.
Literally, no, honestly, it is. So then I felt like, look, I've tried the 9 to 5 thing. I've tried the full-time work. The money hasn't given me enough motivation to stay. So I kind of decided to take boxing seriously. When was that? Back end of 2017. But I'd only had 3 amateur fights, and at the time, I don't know what's going on with it now, but it's the Alliance, isn't it? The Alliance split, so it was hard to find bouts.
Were you in an Alliance club?
Was I in an Alliance club?
Or were you in an ABA
I was at Lynn. No, I was at Lynn.
you
So
were
they
in
was
ABA
in,
club,
yeah.
yeah.
No, that was an
No,
Alliance.
they're Alliance. Lynn
yeah.
broke off, yeah.
So sometimes it was like getting a bout. You might have to go to someone from Birmingham to get a bout, because Double Jab and all the surrounding clubs might have been in the ABAs. And I was just like, yeah, this is long. So let me just turn pro. I turned pro, to be honest, because I was training with Isaac Chamberlain, Chris Congo, John Harding Jr., Richard Riakpo at Miguel's. And Isaac
with
and
Ted Barry?
Yes, yeah. I was there for like maybe 4 or 5 months, and would run with them, spar with them, whatever. And Isaac and Richard were definitely pros, and I would spar with them, and they were like better than me, but the level wasn't mad. So that gave me the confidence that like, I'm not like crazy far behind. Let me just roll the dice. Like I can use the first couple fights where I fight journeyman as my experience, if that makes sense. And that's what I did. I signed with Steve Goodwin. I had my debut in 2017 December. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Now you talked about your daughter there.
Yeah.
You were quite open about how some of the money would be going towards helping her after you won the boxer tournament. Just tell us a little bit about that.
I got such like good feedback from that. But in the moment, it was just I was being sincere.
Representation,
that's
though,
what I'm
isn't
going to use. That's what I'm going to use it for. But no, she's 5, and she was diagnosed with autism when she was like 1.5, which is quite early. But she developed really early, like if that makes sense. She was talking quite early, and then she just regressed, stopped talking, didn't respond to her name. And people would be saying like, you can go to the NHS, and you can, but they kind of give you the run around. It's a bit of a long process.
Imagine there's a massive waiting list and stuff.
Whereas now it's just like, and I didn't want to start it and not be able to do it, because if it's like, £65 for 30 minutes, is that something that you can do for a long period of time? But now I can, thank God for the money. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
How is she getting on?
She's good. She's happy in herself. She does talk from time to time, but not on command. Does that make sense? So, like if she come in here, she wouldn't necessarily acknowledge you.
I get that a lot.
But she
though,
might. But like, she talks a lot through singing and songs. You know, that's her thing, like music and whatever. So we do a lot of the music therapy as well. But no, she's good. She's in a good place at the moment. She's in a mainstream school. She's got a little 1-to-1 with her. But come September, when she goes into year 1, she's going to go to a special school, as we feel it'll be better for her progression. So yeah.
Great stuff. It's nice that boxing can help you do
100%,
something like that.
100%, and it just makes me proud. Yeah, to be able to give back and help her. Yeah,
great stuff. Now we're going to be talking more about not just that, but the boxer tournament and so on in a minute. But we want to go over now to Lean Josh Green, who's going to be talking about some big away day victories in recent times over in the green room.
Thank you very much, guys, and welcome back to the green room. I'm here today to run through some of the boxers that have won in some extremely hostile environments, going into the away corner and coming away with the win that we've seen in recent years. I do have to give some honourable mentions. More recently, we saw Dimitri Bivol go over, of course, to the US to face Canelo Alvarez, Cinco de Mayo weekend. Obviously, all the crowd was in favour of Canelo, but Bivol coming away with the win. Kell Brook as well, obviously went over and fought Crawford, not coming away with the victory that time, but earlier in his career, of course, did defeat Sean Porter for that world title. We'll start off with Avni Yildirim and Chris Eubank Jr. Eubank Jr. was only 4 or 5 years ago. He went over to Stuttgart and faced the Turkish fella Avni Yildirim. Yildirim, of course, more recently we've seen face Jack Cullen at Fight Camp. He's faced Canelo, of course. But it was Chris Eubank Jr. this time on home turf, really, for Yildirim. And it was Eubank Jr. who came away with a third round knockout. Next up, Terence Crawford coming over to the UK, coming over to Scotland, in fact, and Glasgow to face Ricky Burns. At the time, I think Crawford was only 6 years into his career. I say 6 years, that's a long time to be boxing at professional level. But he was still relatively untested at world level, and he hasn't become the superstar that we know him as today. He came over to Glasgow, and he really silenced the home crowd, you have to say, against Ricky Burns. Unanimous decision over Burns in 2014, which seems like an awful long time ago right now. Next up, David Avanesian against Kerman Leharaga. Avanesian going to the corner of the Spaniard, his birthplace, in fact, over in Bilbao. Seen Leharaga not so long ago, just a couple of weeks ago, against JJ Metcalf, be handed another loss, but he lost both fights to David Avanesian. The first one coming with a round 9 TKO, and it taking just one round in the second fight between the two, a knockdown, and the referee waving it off to hand David Avanesian a second win over the Spaniard. Next up, Vladimir Klitschko and Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury obviously going over to Dusseldorf in Germany to face Klitschko and his adoring fans. Klitschko obviously fought much of his career over in Germany and had huge support over there. For Tyson Fury to go over there and face Klitschko and come away with the victory, albeit with a decision victory, and you would have to say not the most exciting fight of his career. We've seen him go over to the US, as I mentioned earlier, and face Wilder. Maybe it was a little hostile at the start, but he's become a real star over in America, and I don't think you could say it feels too much like an away corner to Tyson Fury wherever he goes now. And we'll tie up it with Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos. Lopez, a Brooklyn native, fighting at Madison Square Garden. Kambosos, of course, from the United States, from Australia, sorry. And he was a huge outsider. I can't quite recall the odds. I believe it was around 16 to 1 going into that fight. But just in the opening round, he obviously scored the knockdown and really turned the tie on its head. Lopez was to come back and score a knockdown later in the fight, round 10. But it was Kambosos who got the job done, a split decision win to upset the home crowd at Madison Square Garden. As I say, there have been so many fighters that have won in away corners, in hostile environments. These are just 5. Of course, get in the comments. And any more you'd like to bring up, you are more than welcome to do so. Thank you very much, guys. Back to you.
Cheers, Josh. always a pleasure. We see him like leaving the green room there. Brilliant editing there. Yeah, it's interesting, I think, anyway, that Kambosos was the guy going into Lopez's backyard in New York to win the title, and now he's defending at home. Haney's got to travel, and without his trainer.
Yeah.
What would you make of it all?
I watched the press conference yesterday or today. Haney doesn't seem too phased. I see Kambosos is very, trying to get at him a bit, calling him a rat or whatever for sending him messages about...
An informant, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Sorry, yeah.
But I don't know. I was having this discussion with my cousin on the way here. I feel like Haney is just too sharp for him, and I'm just not sure if he can be dragged into a fight unless he wants to be. Does that make sense? And I feel like if it's a boxing match, I feel like Haney is sharp enough to outpoint him. Yeah.
Do you think him going out there without his dad, without his trainer and everybody will have an effect on his performance?
I don't know if it will have an... I don't know. It's hard. I don't know him.
Would it have an effect on you?
No, not me.
So, no?
Take that, Martin.
I'm a G, man, so these things don't affect me. But I don't know, like, it'll probably affect him in the build-up. But my thought process is that when the bell rings, especially after the first round, you're not thinking about your dad, or you're not thinking about these things, It's not like his dad, God forbid, has passed away, and it's like, his dad is not there, so...
With that in mind, if your whole team that you're used to couldn't make it for one of your big fights for whatever reason, who would you put in your corner? Who'd be your head coach for the night?
I don't mind anyone. Anyone. Yeah.
Is there no one like you can think of though, like on standby?
So what if Martin and that wasn't around, and I couldn't use like my old coach?
Well, yeah,
I'd use
is
my
that
old
what
coach.
you do?
Yeah, I'd probably use my old coach. But even for one of my fights, some of my early fights, I didn't have, because I was only 3-0. I didn't have trainers that wanted to work with me, so I was just like, look, I'll pay someone something just to give me some
would you
water.
listen to them though in the intervals then?
Not necessarily, but I might not need to. You know what I'm trying to say? If I know what I feel like I'm at a level where I know what I'm doing, my boxing IQ is good enough,
But in the boxers tournament, there was a bit where Martin kind of gave you a bit of a going over.
Yeah, I could see why, but it was like, and I would listen, but should I say this?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know if I needed it. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't know if I needed the bollocking, so to speak. But it was just to keep me busy.
Yeah.
Don't let me like fall asleep.
Because I said to you before, like, I think you won that round that he said you lost.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you lost.
But he was worried you were slipping your work rate, so he wanted to. It was a bit of reverse psychology.
He got through. But at that level, with like going back to Haney, I'm guessing, if I didn't have no one in my team, it would probably affect me somewhat in a hard 12-round fight of a unification for belts and whatnot. So. But yeah, I don't know with Haney. His dad is like his dad, but his dad doesn't like hold pads for him necessarily. I know he works with loads of different guys. Like he works with Mike McCallum, he's worked with Ben Davison. He's always working with.
Ben's not going to be there either.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. He works with loads of different people. So we'll see, man. I think he's at a level where he knows what to do. He knows how to fight. So, and if he doesn't, then he shouldn't be there. But I think he does.
Yeah, I mean, cards on the table, I'm edging towards Haney winning.
So am I.
It just seems like a big task out in Australia, because it's not just like, someone from London going to Manchester, no offence. But he's like literally going over the other side. But it's literally going over the other side of the world.
No, literally.
Hometown hero in a big arena, stadium, whatever as well. It's like...
Are they really into boxing over there? Do you know
they don't have many big fights there, but I guess that makes it all the bigger because it's rare.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And someone was saying earlier it's going to be like a football stadium type atmosphere as well, because it's like his fans apparently are quite rowdy and quite loud. And
I just don't know if that will affect. Well, look, I don't think it would affect my performance.
You're a G.
Because I'm a G.
As you know,
you feel me?
Yeah.
But I don't see it. Haney's gone over there. Winningly's gone over there. If he wanted to escape
and
the
without
fight,
his corner team, so he could have asked for a delay or something.
Exactly. So he doesn't seem to be phased. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Some of these things don't come out till after the fight. If Haney does lose, it's because I didn't have it. So we'll just have to see, man.
What are you saying, Georgia? You're going to even it up and go for, it's not quite even, but you're going to go for Kambosos? Or?
I'm really, really torn. I don't particularly think either fighter is particularly very powerful, so I don't think we're going to see a knockout. I reckon it will go to points. If it does go to points,
and it's close.
Haney needs them, and he needs them convincingly because he's the away fighter, and we've seen it so many times when fighters have gone away and they are the other fighter that they've not been given the points because biases or whatever else comes into it. But he does have a lovely jab.
This is like, yeah, he does. Like head and body, like he's. And if there's not enough power in the ring, I don't see how, unless you've got power, you're going to beat Haney.
He just flicks.
I don't
out,
really see it. Yeah, he's got a high
yeah.
work rate. He's fit. You know, he can fight inside and outside.
Linares had him rocking though, didn't he?
Yeah, but this is what I was saying to one of my friends today. Linares can actually whack.
Oh, he can crack.
He can actually whack. And I'm not saying George can't, but I don't think he can punch as hard as Linares. So yeah, we'll see. And Haney didn't go down or nothing, did he? So
No, that's true. He came back.
he
which
came
is
back
actually
straight
ticking
away.
box.
Exactly. Yeah, he did everything they needed to do.
Well, that's what we think of the upcoming fight. But we got a couple more predictions that you can watch in a second. One from a rising contender in the lightweight division who shares a promoter with George Kambosos, and one from a veteran at 135 pounds who sparred Devin Haney for his fight with Jojo Diaz. So you can hear from those guys now.
I've been in there with Devin Haney in November. I was actually sparring him for Jojo Diaz. Though I'm not a true southpaw, but I went up there and gave him work because I felt like that was a good opportunity to put my name back out there. You know, regardless of how I look, I felt like just being there with Devin Haney and taking pictures and putting on social media will put my career to the next stage, and that's what it did. And his whole team, though, his whole squad is the reason why he is who he is. I watched him spar. You watch NASCARs when somebody car break down, how they rush and break the tires down and break. When he spar, they take his headgear off, they rub his legs, they replenish him. It's like he got the top-notch equipment, top-notch technology, the top-notch training, everything. So I truly believe being up there with him for those 7 days, which was presented to me by Serafina. Serafina hooked that up for me. And I went up there through the sprint for her. And she paid for everything. She made sure that I was good, I was comfortable. And she made sure I was right.
And do you think he can go over to Australia, his opponent's backyard, and pull it off?
Strong possibility, but I feel like it can be done. And just his mindset, he's a real champion already. Because if you take that mindset that he got to go overseas without his daddy, without his handlers, 14,000 miles, I think it is, 1,400 miles away, something like that. And you can see there's no budge in him. You know when fighters faking it, when fighters are not. You can kind of see, like, he's for real. He's not playing like just to do this just because, I competed for the undisputed lightweight champion of the world. He really think he's going to win. He really believed that he believed in himself. And you can see it.
Man, what a fight that's going to be. I was actually at the fight with George Kambosos and Tefimo Lopez, and I got to see George work in action. And man, he's got some skills. He's a great boxer. He's very quick. He's got good power, enough to keep you honest. So I don't think Devin's been in there with anybody like that. Even if Devin is maybe the more naturally talented guy, he's maybe getting a little better work in Vegas. George Kambosos is coming in to win that fight. He's not going to give those belts up easy. And honestly, you see a lot more now than you used to, 50-50 fights in boxing. I'll give a prediction. I'm going to ride with my man George because he is signed with Lou as well. I was there to see him fight. He's working with. I haven't seen Devin fight in person yet. So I'm going to roll with George by split decision. It's going to be a close fight, but he's going to pull it out at home.
So that's what they think. We put something out on social media earlier, and we'll go to responses shortly, but we're basically saying, is the winner of this fight between Kambosos and Haney the best in the lightweight division? Because you've still got Tank Davis, who had a great win last week, Ryan Garcia, and of course Vasil Lomachenko. So does the winner get, they'll have all the belts, that's a tick obviously, but do they get to be the number one at that weight?
My opinion, or just factually?
What are you going to lie?
No.
Your opinion, yeah.
My opinion is that I don't think...
Who's the best?
I think Tank is the best. I think the way he punches, and he's sharp enough to catch up with Haney. Does that make sense? Lomachenko, I don't know. My thing with Lomachenko is that he does the angles, all the stepping in the angles. But I feel like that only works against an orthodox fighter. I'm not sure how that would work against someone like Tank, who is also southpaw. I don't know if that just nullifies it. I kind of feel like it does because he hasn't got that angle. He doesn't create that angle. But I feel like, Tank can knock you out from the first to the first round, to the 12th round. And I think he's sharp enough to pull it off against Haney and any of them others, yeah. So I think Tank is the best in the division.
I think they'll just continue to argue about it for years and years. And
Yeah.
years.
Who do you think's best in the division, Georgia?
Loma.
Yeah? Can't just say, like, you've got to give a rationale as well.
I just think, yeah, I think if he was to go up again for the rematch, I think he would win. But I do agree with what you say about Tank. He's a very powerful fighter. Ryan Garcia, I just feel like they're so young, apart from Tank and how old's Loma?
Loma must be pushing on a
Loma's
bit.
35, something
Yeah.
like that.
So like the rest of them are just very, very young, and I don't feel like they're at their peak yet. Loma, I'm not sure how long he's got left. You know, maybe 5 years. I'm going to say
Another 5.
another 5. I'd like to see him go for another.
If he's
5.
35, 36, he'll be pushing it.
Maybe I'm aging him. Maybe he's a bit younger than that. I'm doubting it now.
Should you imagine if he's like 29?
No, he's definitely older than
Nah,
that.
he looks
I don't
like
feel
him.
like Ryan is up there at all. I don't think he's got any like notable wins.
He took a long time out recently as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
not
with the
mental health
thing and
problems,
stuff
which
like
is
that.
absolutely fine. But it means he's not getting those wins to
Yeah.
put him up there with the other
And
guys.
his breakthrough fight was Luke Campbell, who on our side of the sea is, yes, Olympian and whatnot, but like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't put Luke Campbell in a conversation with Tank and these kind of guys. And
And it's the stage of the career when he got Luke Campbell
exactly,
as well. I think.
yeah. And Luke dropped him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke dropped him. And Luke isn't necessarily a puncher.
I think Luke is a puncher.
Not like Tank. I don't think like
You
Tank.
like Tank, then, yeah.
Not like Tank.
Big Tank fan.
No, Tank does punch different.
Yeah.
He
I mean, the
does
last
punch
2 fights. Oh no, sorry, 2 of the last 3 fights.
Yeah, was it?
There was Cruz in the
Oh,
middle.
that was
The uppercut that he hit.
Yeah.
Best knockout.
And
Yeah.
that can just come out of nowhere. So, yeah, I don't know if Ryan Garcia has proved that he's at that level. But yeah, we'll see. But like you said, it'll be good to see them all get together.
Did the BBC make a mistake the other day? I read a article. It was like, oh, Tank's had however many fights and then like
Oh yeah,
35
more knockouts than
and we're
fights.
like,
Yeah.
I think he's 27 and
They're not really
25
into
knockouts.
boxing, are they, at the BBC?
BBC.
What happened to the highlight show from Matchroom? Well, that's disappeared, hasn't it?
I don't know.
But yeah, so we put the question about the top lightweights in the world onto Twitter earlier. Pretty much no one responded. So we turned it into a poll and they got loads of comments. That seems to be a thing. So
Nobody ever responded
yeah.
to me. Apart
It's-
from really nice Derek.
with polls, apparently. Yeah, really nice Derek and authority on everything in boxing.
Yeah.
But yeah, once we put it to a poll, Lomachenko was a winner by far, which was a bit of a surprise for me. Devin Haney was last. I think he got less than 10% of the vote, which again was a bit of a shocker, especially as we've all kind of picked him. But yeah, we got some really good responses in the comments as well, which Georgia has to hand, I believe. Yeah. Beep, beep, beep.
Okay, so got hair attached to me.
Is that what it says? It's left field.
So Tank for his southpaw skill set and one punch equalizer at his as his get out of jail free card.
Who said that?
Ra.
said that? Oh, right.
Big Pa has said Loma is the
In the
best.
DMs, that one.
Loma is the best technically of all 4. Tank is very close second, but he carries so much power. I can 100% justify anybody putting him number 1. I feel like Haney is better than Kambosos, but again, I said that about Teofimo Lopez a few months ago. Tank doesn't get enough credit for his wins. Cruz and Rowley would be a handful for any lightweight. God, there's loads, isn't there? And they're all for Loma. If age hasn't depleted him, more skilled than the others, and there isn't a monster there that would bully him. Tank is a good challenge, but Loma would neutralise his power. I'm not sure I agree.
With
You know what?
The neutralising power.
yeah,
How do you neutralise somebody's power other than like wearing them out?
chop their hands off.
Kind of stay away from that. that side of there. I think he could, but like he's just I don't know. Like he can catch you between like at any point. But like you say, I'm biased. So. No, you're right. I'm biased.
Andy White says, really difficult question. I've said Haney because he beats Kambosos away in. When he beats Kambosos away in Oz, he will go for pound. A fight with him and Lomachenko would settle it. Lomachenko beats them all currently for me. The skill set that I test wins over Linares. Campbell,
Is that what he says? Da-da-da-da. How did he type that?
So long. And he trumps anything that other fighters have done at 135, in my opinion.
Who's that?
Sweet.
No. Who are they referring to?
Oh, Lomachenko.
Oh. Hasn't he lost 2 fights? I know the first one was like a whatever.
Yeah, and that wasn't a lightweight.
Yeah, it was
early in his
yeah,
career,
I heard about that. But then obviously he's I don't know, yeah. And then he lost to Lopez, so I don't know. Like
But he reigned for a long time
Yeah.
at that weight, so I guess in comparison to someone like Garcia who's just coming up.
Yeah.
Do you think
maybe.
he'd win the rematch?
I don't know. There was a little. I don't know. There was like he had a shoulder injury supposedly. So yeah, he could do if it really was giving him grief like that. He could do, but I feel like Lopez looked a little bit too big for him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not sure Lopez makes 135 again.
Again, yeah, he's a lump.
Charlie Stewart has said, right now I'd pick Loma, as in if they all fought around robin.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not a term you've heard before?
Nope.
Just means if they all fought each
It's
other.
like, do you know what? Somebody once said, oh, has somebody got somebody else's number? And I was like, I don't know. Why are you asking me? Okay, I'd expect Loma to win as the most likely outcome. That being said, Haney's potential is huge and he could potentially beat them all. Problem is he'll soon outgrow 135 and can't see his power coming until he does. Kambosos beat the man that beat the man. Loma is the complete fighter. Loma, most skilled boxer on planet Earth currently. And then we've got Kevin Ajako, who is on the podcast in 2 weeks' time, if you don't know.
Or possibly next week. We haven't decided whether we're going to put it out.
Whenever we put it out.
Yeah.
Says, Loma technically is the best fighter in the world, in my opinion. Who on paper is the best? Kambosos has most of the belts, though Tank and Haney beat him. If I was to rank the one, Loma 2. Okay, Tank the 1. It says rank, but he means Tank first. Loma second. No, he doesn't.
What?
Kevin, man. Sort your tweets out. Okay. Haney, rank first. Loma second. Tank 3. Kambosos 4.
Brutal. Tank 3.
Tank
How'd you
3?
feel about that?
I just don't understand.
Well, yeah, can see Kevin, I mean.
Haney beating Tank is just insane.
Should have had you on the same episode.
Yeah, should have.
Could have got spicy.
I just don't understand this tweet. Maybe I'm reading it. I am dyslexic.
Maybe Kevin is.
I'm dyslexic as well.
I won't give it to you. Hey, you read it.
All right. Do I have to do the accent? Get us cancelled.
Can you do
Oh my goodness.
Who was the best? Who was the best? I'm not going to do it.
I wanted to do an interview with Mick Conlon the other week, but just purely in a Northern Irish accent.
He's got a really high voice though as well, hasn't he? It's like, yeah, he has. Are you going to give it a go? No? All right.
I won't. I'll save it to
Who
after.
is the best? Loma technically the best fighter in the world in my opinion. Who on paper is the best? Kambosos has most of the belts, I guess. Though Tank and Haney beat him. If I was to rank the 1 Loma, 2 Tank, 3 Haney, 4 Kambosos. There you go.
There we go. Thank you.
So for people that have just tuned in, we're still not entirely sure what Kevin Ajako said. But at least next time we do the podcast, he'll be here. So you can read his lips. It'll be fine.
And then DC says, Loma, skill-wise, he is miles above the other 3. Second to him would be Tank. Both got better names to their record too, in my opinion. Kids coming up nowadays are given too much status too quickly. Loma all day. I agree.
About kids being given too much status too quickly.
And just kind of built up on a pedestal, aren't they? I'm assuming she's...
Ellis Zorro.
Yeah.
She told me.
Yeah.
She replied afterwards. Said,
Like
especially
that guy.
Ellis Zorro. Yeah.
I'd have said Ryan Garcia's been
Oh,
massively put on
yeah.
a pedestal.
Well, on
he's
a
only
UK
had a
level,
bit
you
of
could
a,
argue Josh Kelly as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Ryan's got that, like you said, that little YouTube thing going as well, which it could just come from that.
Have you watched him on YouTube?
I've watched some of his body shot things, but I haven't seen. No, I've seen one of his diet things as well. Like,
But doesn't
Oh,
he
so
hit
he
like
does it like
celebrities
that?
with body shots?
yeah, body shots. Say again?
He does like YouTube like that.
Yeah, he does like what I've eaten in a day, like how I train and stuff like
He's
this.
like number 1 biggest fan.
No, I watch it. Yeah, I watch it.
When are we
I've
going to
seen
see
some
what
of it.
you've eaten in a day? It's coming, isn't it? It's
You
coming.
don't want to see what I eat in a day. not a day like today, anyway. Trust me.
Now, we've got some questions from our social audience, but this time directed at Ellis Zorro.
Here we
Let's
go.
have a look.
I saw on there. I was thinking,
So
they're not going to get many, are they? Go on, what?
How high do you think women's boxing can go? What's the ceiling?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
No, we'll get to that one. We just want to confirm now you can see him. Ellis Zorro is a man. That doesn't mean he can't answer questions about female boxing, of course.
that's
You know,
it.
we're an equal opportunity show.
Bring them on.
Right. Ellis Zorro, Andy White asks, where do you see yourself in 2 years?
Oh, 2 years. What's that? Maybe 6 fights. Fighting for a world title of some sort. Yeah. In 6 fights' time. If I'm 14-0 now, yeah. Although I've not fought for any titles now, I think I'm going to skip the Southern area. I want to fight the winner of the English between Ian Martel and Luke Watkins. Fight for the British rather towards the end of this year or early next year. And then just push on from there. There's so many ways to, I can fight for an eliminator or whatever. There's so much going on.
Title,
yeah, exactly. So in 6 fights' time, at least pushing for that world title level. Not to say I'll be the best in the world at that moment.
Don't backtrack now.
No, I'm not. But like I said, there's so many different titles to get. Does that make sense? So, yeah, there's not one world title at the moment, is there? There's more than one. So, yeah, around that level.
Now, here's the question we were referring to earlier, and it's by Trevor Beerbick, which is probably the best Twitter name I've had in a while. He says, how far can English women's boxing go commercially? I know you're an expert in that field, so...
What kind of question? I mean, I have no idea.
What's the ceiling, though? Would it ever be as big a commercial attraction as male boxing, in your view?
I don't...
I'm going to say no.
I don't think so. The males have got such a deep history to it that the women's doesn't have, and there are still a lot of people, men and women, that are, kind of oppose women's boxing for a number of different reasons. So it's not as openly embraced as men's boxing is. And although these big powerhouse promoters and DAZN and Sky, they're pushing women's boxing at the moment, I think it's got some way to go. Some way to go until it matches men's or even surpasses it. Yeah.
I Am Stephen says, what's the greatest boxing trilogy ever?
For entertainment purposes, I'd say Ali and Fraser. For learning purposes and just best skilled fighter, I'd say Mike McCallum and James Toney. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
DC, who we heard from a little while ago, says, how did you find the build-up and the post-fight reactions to the Boxer tournament win?
The build-up, if I'm really honest, I found I'm not really into the theatrics, and I found it a lot of drama and a lot of but yeah, I don't know, the whole live draw, it was just... But then when they turned off the cameras, they were talking to us like it was some job interview and you got to be friends and nudge each other and all that. It didn't feel very...
Like The Apprentice.
It didn't feel very natural, and listening to everybody else's interviews about what they're going to do and all this rubbish, and they're going to stop me. One guy said he's going to stop me in the first round, another guy said he's going to blow me away, and so, and even some of the... Actually, no, I won't say that.
No, go on.
No, but and what was the back end of the question?
And the post-fight, how did you find that? I guess with all the confetti coming down.
Yeah, that took me by surprise.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know it was going to happen. I don't know if it happened for the lightweights, did it?
I can't remember,
but that caught me off guard. I was like,
it was a sniper.
No, it was good. It was good. I was obviously happy. Had my people there, so yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. Yeah, I enjoyed that last bit.
And she also says, and I think you've already kind of answered this, but anyone specific in mind for your next fight?
Just the winner of Rava. It's not so easy to, but the winner of the English, basically. So Rava, Ian Martel or Luke Watkins. I think it will be Ian Martel. I think me and Ian Martel put up a good fight. I'm a bit of a boxer puncher. He's come forward, physically strong. I've sparred him a good few times. Good guy. Be a nice little build up as well. So yeah, let's go with Ian Martel for the English title. Yeah.
What's your current pound for pound top 5? That's from Gary Young.
Oh Lord. Usyk. Spence, Crawford. Where am I? Usyk, Spence, Crawford, Canelo, and Tank.
Ooh, no Bivol.
No Bivol.
Say
Sorry,
that, Bivol.
Too. Yeah,
He's going to be watching.
And this is from someone you know very well,
Who's that?
Mr. Denzel Bentley. He says,
What's he said?
how long do you think it will take you to win the British title, and who would you like to fight for it? And when I said to him, you could just ask him tomorrow in the gym, he said, oh, I've asked him before. I just want to see if he keeps the same energy.
Oh, this guy. I think I'd like to fight Mikel Lawal. He's obviously with Sky and Boxer. He's meant to be fighting Dion Juma, I think, for the British at some stage this year. So yeah, he's a heavy-handed guy. He's a good guy as well. And I'd like to fight him. I think that would be a very fan-friendly fight, to be honest.
You must have said more than that to Denzel.
No.
It.
I'm trying to think what he's referring to. But yeah, I'd like to fight Mikel
Get him on
Lawal.
speaker and ask.
Yeah.
So,
if we were live, I probably would.
So yeah, Ian Martel, then Mikel Lawal. Then yeah, just see what happens after that.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Ellis has answered your questions. He's answered a few of ours as well. But after we come back, he'll be stepping into the hot seat and taking on a different line of questioning from Miss Georgia Banks.
Your Boxer Series Cruiserweight Tournament Division King Ellis Zorro!
So if you're new here, this game is called The Worst People in the World. Ellis Zorro, are you ready?
I am ready.
So the worst people in the world. People who are on their phone the whole gym session, or people who spar like they're competing and injure others.
People who are on their phone during the gym session.
People who put clips on Smith machines, or people that never ever wash their wraps.
People that never wash their wraps.
People who are overly cheesy on social media, or people who don't put their weights back in the gym.
And people who are overly cheesy on social media.
People who cheat workouts, circuits, sprints, or cyclists riding two abreast.
Cyclists.
Everyone says that.
Hate a cyclist.
People who kiss their dogs on the mouth, or people who eat with their mouths open.
People who kiss their dogs on the mouth.
People who leave their rubbish all over the gym, or people who have full-blown conversations with you before 9 o'clock in the morning.
People that leave their rubbish on the gym.
People who chew really loudly in your ear, or people that kick the spit bucket in the gym and they make that old musty smell.
People that kick the spit bucket in the gym.
People that phlegm in the sink and don't wash it away.
Oh.
Or drivers that don't wave thank you when you let them out.
Oh, drivers that don't wave thank you.
Denzel Bentley or Dan Aziz.
Who don't I like?
No, just who's the worst person?
Denzel.
Why?
Because he's just got too much energy. And when we train in the morning, he's got way too much energy in the morning.
That's him.
Yeah.
If you could change one thing about boxing and like boxing rules, what would it be?
Oh, what a question. What a good question. One thing about the rules of boxing, I feel the judges would have to justify their results, their scorecards.
What, to like a panel or to TV?
To a panel or, to some form of important people, They'd have to justify some of the scorecards, basically, that they
some of them have been a bit
that they come out with. Yeah.
That's it from me. Thank you.
Cheers, no
See,
problems.
I told you it wasn't bad.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
Your Boxer Series Cruiserweight Tournament Division King Ellis Zorro!
Thanks very much. Yeah, that was entertaining to say the least. Really appreciate you all watching. Ellis, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Onwards and upwards for you, hopefully.
That's it.
Georgia, always a pleasure.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Glad I could
contribute. And we will see you all next time. Please like, subscribe, either on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast from. We're on all the major platforms, and we'll be back with You Don't Know Shit About Boxing very soon.
Yo, Danny Flexen here. Think you know shit about boxing? There's only one way to find out. Listen to the full podcast via one of the links in the description or go to secondsoutboxing.podbean.com.
You know shit about boxing!